The pandemic has been terrible. Its impact on lakhs of students who have lost some near or dear one is horrendous. Imprisoned, segregated, to a large extent isolated in the presence of their houses or homes, as we call them, not able to go to the playground to have little fun, not able to go to school to socialize, but sitting in front of a screen, spending time where they would not like to, is stressful. And this stress is telling, if the stress can get to executives, we know that on an average 5 to 7% of the executives in India are stressed out. They have problems, neurological problems, they have physical problems, their psychological well-being is absent, and therefore the physical well-being is also impacted. So from 5 to 7%, the COVID has taken the number, as per recent LinkedIn research, to 39%. Children have not been spared. We don't know the numbers, but they could be even more as a percentage. They don't deserve this. I think as parents and teachers, we owe it to them to give them a life which is more comfortable, which is less stressful. And therefore, emotional intelligence, which helps us to create habits which can, which are stress busters, was an answer to also this pandemic and pandemic related stress. So that is how we didn't wait for any consultants, financiers or other sponsors to get on and create a curriculum. We felt it was necessary. It was noble work. And that's how I must thank Anuradha ji, a psychologist, who said she would like to partner this. Thank you so much, Anuradha ji. It was almost a year back, if I'm not mistaken. And then two brilliant young psychologists, Amna Ansari and Snowy Rahi, also ventured and said, we would like to do this. We would like to actually work for the children. Of course, I think they would see more of the future because they have a lot of time that they will work with children on. And after them, we had some other interns, researchers from MBA, interns, and others who joined in, psychologists who joined in, who really wanted to do this work. And we found it's not easy. You can't create a curriculum in a few days. It takes the better part of a year. But the important part which I would like to stress is every lesson, every message, every exercise that we do in that module or in the curriculum that we have designed is based on solid, valid scientific techniques and science. It is not on assumptions, beliefs, voodoo sayings, or and we do not promise we do not promise magic, but we promise solid grounds for helping your children to do better. Let me cite but one example. I think I was very fortunate today to listen to Jolly sir, who talked eloquently on the PFC and others. Let me probably take that subject further. Your children, our children, and even us have two major brain systems. One is definitely the emotional brain represented by the amygdala. So this is the brain which actually gets activated when there is an emotional cue. The other brain, which you see here, is the prefrontal cortex, which is your regulatory center, emotion regulatory center, decision-making center, promotes empathy, and so on. So if your child sees a bar of chocolate, even if they are not supposed to eat chocolates, the temptation would be very, very huge. And the emotional brain a message goes to the amygdala, this is something nice to eat, whether it's junk food or it's a bar of chocolate, and they should not eat it, will not matter. They would love to do it. I'm giving you a positive example. They can throw tantrums or they can be disruptive. So the only way is to actually see that the prefrontal cortex is the boss, which is in the evolution, your inhibitory circuits, or can stop you from doing impulsive action. Problem is, up to the age of 18, this goes on developing in children. It's not very well developed. So, we say, what a bacha hai, they will do it. He's after all, or she's after all a kid. And there is good biological reason. We don't even punish them and send them to jail. We send them to a reform home because up to the age of 18, it's developing. It's not completely developed. So the giving to temptations much faster than others. It's not that the adults don't. Adults also, with diabetes would look at a rasgulla very longingly, but should be able to manage it. So how do we actually develop it? So we know now that if we react emotionally, sometimes it can be very damaging. In a fit of anger, the child could hit somebody, could get violent. That's an emotional reaction. We don't want them to react emotionally to a small cue, which can be disruptive. How do we help them? So we want to activate the emotion regulation center, the empathy center, which understands other people's positions and make rational decisions instead of emotional decisions. For that, one of the techniques is actually identifying the emotion and naming the emotion, which helps you to ensure that this part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, actually your regulation center starts working and your emotional center gets deactivated. This has been one of the reasons why some students do much better than others. They are able to move from impulsive to intentional behavior. It is critical for success. And this is based on science because we know from a ton of research, and this is an fMRI machine which is scanning your brain while the brain is in action. The moment you can name your emotion, the intensity of the emotion reduces to an extent where it is from a heightened state, aroused state, it becomes normal in both the amygdala, which is your emotional centers on two sides of the emotion of the brain, right? So we know that from fMRI studies, and every module that we have, every exercise that we have has huge scientific basis. Huge scientific basis. They are not created out of a vacuum. The children need not know the concept. It is not conceptual learning that we teach in colleges. It is experiential. So what you said, sir, is actually what we will be doing. They will learn from experiences because they need not know how the watch functions. What they need to know is how to read the time. That is the practice they need. Our lessons would be lessons in such excellence. But that's not all. Each of the modules, whether it is self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, or social awareness, relationship management, decision-making, which is impaired in emotional thinking and reacting, we help them learn the techniques, the processes, procedural knowledge. They will not have probably as much declarative knowledge, but they will have procedural knowledge and they will have learned it by practice. The more we practice these skills, the more, as we said, the muscle, the prefrontal cortex develops. It is like the bicep. Any muscle, even the brain muscles, develop far more and become meatier with exercise. So these are things that our members should be helping the people learn. Quickly, just thought would share with you a couple of things which you may have heard about. Students in the US, and it's a very large sample over lakhs of students, recorded 11 percentile point gains in academic achievement because of attending this course. 42% were found to be less likely to be involved in physical aggression who had undergone this course. Return on investments, I'm not sure parents and teachers are looking for return on investment on the children. They want them to be better citizens, though the return on investment for a nation is 11 times. And that's significant by any barometer, by any measurement process. Long-term increases in college readiness, career success, positive relationships, better mental health, all that. And at the end of the day, there's an old Latin saying which says, mens sana corpore sano, a healthy mind in a healthy body. I think psychological well-being and physical well-being are not two different things. They're causative of each other, right? They're causative of each other. And would be also interested to tell you that we have contextualized this for India and the neighboring countries. Our contextualization is not only for the culture, but also for the specific age group. This would be trained, and the students will be trained and only trained by ASCC faculty members, because we believe that you need a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge spread over months and a year of learning to be able to teach that so the students can learn it well. Online, because that's, I think, something that is going to be stay for a long time. And that's something that we think is a differentiator with us. We will not only teach the students, but we will also educate the ecosystem, which is parents. How do they create better learning environments? How do they create better nurturing environments? Similarly, with teachers, how do they create more engaging learning environments?